everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I need to start by stating that all opinions and information here is shared here are my own and not those of the Marine Corps Community Services or the Department of Defense. So I want to start by telling you a little about who is talking at you today. So this is me. I am Lauren Cleveland. I'm a trainer for Marine Corps Family Team Building and the Installation Volunteer Coordinator here at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. Previously, I was a library technician for our base library. And in my current position, I do what's similar to like programming, outreach, and professional development training in what we would consider that in the library world. We're a sister program to our base library, and I still work and visit with them quite often. I was a public librarian in Jacksonville, Florida before this, and I received my master's in library and information science in 2019. And I've had the privilege of working and serving in academic, public, school, and military special libraries since 2006. I also have an associate's in advertising communications and a bachelor's in marketing. I have previous experience in marketing, sales, and advertising, which doesn't seem super relevant right now, but it's going to make a little more sense as we go. I presented here last year on connecting with the military community here, as well as sharing a LibGuide project from within our library. And I had a lot of questions and interest on them, so this is kind of a deeper dive into that. So here we go, connecting the community and taking LibGuides outside the library. So no yawning. I know you hear LibGuides and you're like, ooh, no. I promise LibGuides can be fun. I want to start by explaining that this is going to be more about creative uses of LibGuides and how to share them with the community more than it is about LibGuides themselves. So if you were looking for a class on how to create LibGuides, this is not that, but I will share some links to LibGuide tutorials at the end. So let's discuss what we know about LibGuides. To do this, I'm going to use something that the Marine Corps really loves, and that's the 5 W's. So W number 1, let's start with what we know. And if there's one thing I know about LibGuides, it's this. Librarians love LibGuides. We all know this, right? I bet many of you have created your own LibGuides, and if not, you've probably used them a time or two, or at least you're thinking about making one because why else would you be here? But why do we love LibGuides so much? There's a lot of reasons. LibGuides is an easy-to-use content management system deployed at thousands of libraries worldwide. So librarians use it to curate knowledge and share information, organize class and subject-specific resources, and to basically create and manage websites. You don't need extra programming skills. You don't need to be trained as a programmer or know HTML or any type of coding to use them. I've never even had to call my IT department to help me out with it. And there's so many features that can be used to create eye-catching and compelling compilations of information. Organizing information is simple and customizable. And ding, 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 it's all online. It's available 24/7 and accessible from the palms of our hands. So these are great reasons why we like using this medium of communication, but I feel like we need to zoom out and back up a moment. So why are we doing this at all? So we are trying to get information to our people. When I say our people, I mean our people, the people with information needs that we can meet. And this can be almost anything. So I took a moment when I was creating this a few months ago, and I searched community.libguides.com to find what LibGuides were popular or recommended on their site. So here's a few that I found. So cat videos on the web, a collection of videos featuring cats found on the internet. I mean, who doesn't love a good cat video, right? Where do I start? It's a guide created by a university library to help students begin research papers. Drinking vessels through history. Yep, that one's pretty straightforward. It is, well, information about drinking vessels used throughout history. Research topic ideas. This is from another university, helping students choose research topics for the classes. And then APA style 7th edition. I don't feel like there's any need to elaborate. I'm sure we're all familiar, and some of us still have nightmares about it. So we might laugh at some of these or moan at others, but these were all created by libraries because there are people searching for this information, and those are their people. So we talked about the why behind creating a LibGuide, but designing the most useful guide for your who means digging even deeper. So I've broken the planning process into who, what, and where. So while we discuss these, I want all of you to think about a real LibGuide that you've been wanting to create, or if you've had something in mind, or my previous slide about cat videos and research papers inspired you. Just keep that idea in mind and you can answer these questions to yourself as we go. So who are your people? We deal with all different types of people, from public libraries who are often interacting with families and children to special libraries focused on very specific functions. Some of us deal with more technical information needs, maybe within the military, like us, units and operations. Others are partnering with classrooms and school libraries. In marketing, we call these people our target market. So who is your target market? Do you have more than one? Or maybe subgroups within your markets? Every LibGuide doesn't need to target everyone. So pick a group. Next is, what are their needs? Now that you've determined your target market, let's look at what they need. This can be information needs or searching needs or educational needs. It's pretty broad. So let's start with this. Look into your designated purpose. Do you have a mission statement or maybe a military order that you follow? I mean, someone's funding you to exist, right? So they've already recognized a broad need. We need to zoom in a little. So what else have you noticed about your patrons? Where are they struggling? Are they having trouble understanding Dewey Decimal, Library of Congress, or Semper Find It? Are many of them looking for specific topics, like certain parts of history or parenting tips or LGBTQ fiction? Are they simply just having trouble learning how to travel around base, whose building numbers make no sense navigationally? Not speaking from experience or anything. I know many of us may avoid it, but you may want to check out your community Facebook pages and see what questions are being asked frequently. So now take that need and make it a message. That doesn't mean it needs to be a persuasive message. It's just information you want them to have. So we know our target market. We've established their need. Now, where are our people? The people specifically looking for this information. Is this information that they may feel insecure asking about? Is it something they're going to classes to learn more about? Do these people even know where your library is located? These are all things to consider. This is the time to think about where you'll reach your people. Meet them where they are. This is called placement. Okay, it's not a W, but how? How to pull it all together. You've made your plan. Now it's time to get to work. You have to create your LibGuide. And this can be time consuming and tedious. I've spent many hours on a lot of our LibGuides and they can take a lot of time, but it'll be worth it, I promise. They just have so many features. So you can add like links and resources. This is from one of our LibGuides. You can see that you can link out to different places. You can share things like photo galleries that you can scroll through or click through. This is from one of our groups that we did a monthly club. You can have book lists that they link directly to your catalog, which is really awesome. So if somebody finds it, they can figure out more information about it very quickly. Or you can add things like blogs, videos, even more. You can even rearrange the elements throughout the page, depending on how you want it. I just recommend playing around with it a bit. So you've done all the work, you've created your LibGuide. Now, when will they finally find it? It's time to make your graphics. So you probably have some sort of program that you use already. So like Canva, Adobe, Library Aware. I'm not a graphic designer. I rely a lot on their templates. So this part's mostly up to you. I suggest choosing a color scheme or theme and just sticking it across the print, social media, website, and actual LibGuide. That's called branding, just making it all kind of match. I want to revisit the where for a minute. Now you have to go there. And this can mean putting up flyers on bulletin boards where your people see them, or even hiding them discreetly in restrooms or back corners, or handing them out at events, or giving them to other organizations to put on display or pass to their customers. I mean, maybe it isn't a flyer at all. Maybe it's a bookmark or part of an origami craft. You can make a poster or a banner that's large and easy to see, or you can make it small like a business card that's easy to take with you. So just get creative. Okay, this is where I need to take a moment. I need to take a brief pause and share my appreciation for QR codes. I use them all the time on everything. They're a direct link to your LibGuide. I highly recommend putting them on any printed material. They are slightly more difficult to use virtually, though. Some newer phones will allow you to follow them digitally, but older phones, you can only scan them with your camera. I recommend having a link associated with it, which is very easy to do. A cool thing about LibGuides is that you can actually customize your web address to make it easier to follow. But you can also always just use something like a tiny URL. If you follow this QR code, you're just going to get to our Eventbrite. So if you'd like to come to my classes. Okay, so that's been a lot of talk. Now we're just going to show you some examples of what we have going on here at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. I'm going to start with my first LibGuide and the one I spent the most time creating. This is our Tough Topics Guide. You may be familiar with the concept already. Here's an example of one you may recognize from a public library somewhere around the country. Essentially, it's a list of sensitive subjects that patrons may be nervous to ask questions about. It's just a list of topics and their related Dewey Decimal Location. So first of all, we don't even use Dewey here. We use Semper Find It, which is more complicated to list on posters like this. Plus, some of the books in these topics are split between multiple neighborhoods. I also wanted to dig deeper into this idea. I found that most patrons who do actually ask about these topics are not only looking for facts and figures, but they're looking for a way to connect and feel less alone. So not only does the guide direct patrons to the nonfiction locations of these topics, it also has a recommended reading list that includes memoirs, graphic novels, and in some cases, fiction. So here's what the webpage looks like. Feel free to even scan the code if you want to check it out on your own. I won't judge you having your phone out. When considering our target market, I spoke to our behavioral health department about which topics were most pertinent to our community specifically and included those in our guides. I'm sure there's public agencies that would love to discuss things with you, or for schools, talk to your counselors about general issues they see frequently. Each section of the guide also includes base, county, state, and national resources. Not only are we providing information, we're providing links to tangible assistance too. We reach our people in different ways, but all of them have discretion in mind. So we have posters with QR codes in each of the specific topics hidden around our base. I did so many QRs in these in order to help patrons be fast as well as discreet. Bathroom stalls and back corners of the library. I also include shelf talkers in some of the specific nonfiction sections so that people can find other areas of the library and recommended readings on that topic. So if they are, say, in a section on nonfiction that has books on addiction, the QR code will lead them to a recommended reading list, including memoirs of people who've overcome addiction. And we keep our flyers small. So this one on the left-hand side, you can see it was not even originally planned to be a flyer. It was something that HR asked me to do and create for all new employees during orientation. So now we just bring them to events as well. This next one is the small business guide. This also is a total ripoff of something you may see in any public library across the country. Sometimes you'll see classes held for this information, or more frequently, you'll see like a trifold brochure with tons of small text on it. And each time any of that information changes, you're reprinting the brochures. So why not go digital? If you live or work on or near a military base, you will be familiar with small business ventures throughout the community. So small businesses are a great way for military families, especially spouses, to maintain consistent work throughout frequent moves. However, there are extra hoops to jump through when operating a small business on a base. Not only do they need to learn new laws for the state, they need to learn the rules for each individual base. Here, if you live on base, it's necessary for you to have a business license through the state of Hawaii, be approved by the base and Marine Corps Community Services, and then be approved by base housing. It's a lot of steps. And based on what I've been seeing on social media, nobody seems to know how to accomplish these steps. So I wrote it out as simply as I could to give assistance and combat misinformation. And even though I can add a recommended reading, or I can add a recommended reading list, which can be updated whenever is necessary, and I don't need to reprint any of it. Our target market is military spouses living on our base. We hand those out at most events aimed at spouses. But like I mentioned, this is based on something that's used in public libraries. It also goes in social media. Our base offers occasional entrepreneur information classes to the community, and I usually speak about it there too. The flyer you see on the screen is a half-page flyer. The title is pretty straightforward and no need to waste paper on more wording. This one is a bit more fun. This is our 3D printer guide. Our library's makerspace has a 3D printer, and that means we get constant questions about how to use it, where to submit requests, where to find designs, what to print. And we were using a flyer that was a full page of text with detailed information. It still didn't have all the information or answer all of their questions, so we made a guide with a print menu. This menu is a list of prints that meets all of our standards. First-time 3D print users usually just want to print something, anything, just for fun. This is a great list of simple things that they can try, and it doesn't need to go through any review or approval process. To promote the 3D printer, we 3D printed small pocket-sized Honu, and we stuck them to QR codes. Now we can take those to any event, and they're actually more popular than most of the swag. This one here is a partnership with another program. The Exceptional Family Member Program, or EFMP as most of us know it here on a military base, is a program that assists military families with special medical or educational needs. They have a recommended reading list of their own and resources for our community. The books that they actually have to lend are limited in comparison to the base library, and they have no accountability for clients to return them. So we worked with them to create an appropriate recommended reading list from our books within our collection. And we have many great graphic medicine books in our graphic novel collection as well. And we were really excited to partner those with this reading list for EFMP as well, because it covered most of the topics that they were also covering. So this took, I'm gonna back up, sorry. So this actually took some burden off of their lending collection and expanded what they were able to recommend to their clients. So now when they recommend books to their clients, they can hand out bookmarks that leads directly to the guide. And then this last one here, PMPR is Personal and Professional Readiness. It's one of our departments here on base. It's a really useful one. And it's not even created by the library. It's created from Information Referral and Relocation Services Program. And we have posters like these you can see all over our base outside of our personal and professional readiness buildings. The QR codes link to a LibGuide with contact information. Some of the QRs even go to our website or Eventbrite pages as well. This was in an effort to help the community have access to all of our programs and information, even after hours. So a lot of these are outside of buildings. You can see one on the outside of a door there too. So something that people can have access to our information wherever they are, whenever they need it. That's actually all I have for you today. So I thank you so much for letting me talk at you about LibGuides for a little bit, and I hope I've added some excitement. This is my contact information if you ever have any questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Lauren. Actually, I do have a couple questions, but I'll also entertain any from anyone else who's here. Before anyone leaves, though, I would like to throw up the evaluation so people have a chance to provide feedback on this. It's very important. And we'll throw that in here into the chat. So there's that link. My question to you is, do you track the usage of these? And then how do you also maintain them going forward, like for dead links and et cetera? I'm just kind of curious on an administrative point of view what you do with this information.
Yeah, so there is, if you've ever used LibGuides, there is a way to track click-throughs and its usage and information. When we do take a moment to share it on say Facebook, or I have done some Facebook Lives with our other programs on these as well. I will track it. I can see usually a jump in our click-throughs on that as well. So we do track it. I'm sorry, what was your follow-up question on that?
And the tracking was part of it, but then I also know that because I maintain them here at our library, what you do when there's dead links or things that you need to update, how often you maintain that.
So a few of these, the EFMP, the bookmark one, and the Tough Topics Guide, I actually created those very shortly before we changed our systems over to a completely new. I had to change everything. All of our links, our catalog was completely new, and I had to take hours actually to go through and update every single link on every single book that we used. Um, at the time when I was doing this, I have mentioned I have moved over to Marine Corps Family Team Building. When I was in the library, as we got new books, I was also cataloging those books. So as I saw some that were relevant to what we were talking about in any of these LibGuides, I would add those into our recommended reading list. Some of them are dated. We have some nonfiction that are especially related to small businesses. Some of the information in it gets updated yearly. So I would make sure to go in and update that to whatever the newest book in our collection was for the year. So yeah, I do still go through, even kind of from a sister program, I go through and check on them sometimes to make sure that it's okay. But for the most part, I try to keep it as evergreen as possible. Try to make sure that it's information that's not going to be outdated quickly. But the point of not having it printed is, and what is printed is something that is evergreen at all times. I make sure that it's stuff that we don't have to reprint anything new. So it's very easy to update. And once it's updated, everyone's going to see it immediately.
Thank you.
Pull up the chat, I'm sorry. Gwen, I see you asked if we collaborate with folks at other bases on guides. I haven't yet. I would love, especially with EFMP, every branch of the military has access to EFMP. And I would absolutely love to share that and interact with some of the other bases on it. That sounds like a great idea. At this point, though, we have not. I have done some events at Pearl Harbor Hickam, and we have shared information about our library. Our library has access to like cake pans and things like that. And I did a baking demonstration with the USO at the Hickam USO. And so we have gotten a lot of kind of crossover between the two libraries and spouses and patrons who utilize both. The baking is, I mean, these baking pans, there's so many. We have an entire collection of it, as well as some of like the baking tips for like pastry frosting and things like that. I actually used that with the USO, and it was a lot of fun. Any other questions? On the screen should be some links to some tutorials for creating LibGuides. So if you are really new to using LibGuides, you need a little bit of help. I did it all by just playing around with it and seeing what I liked, looking at other people's and seeing how they organize their information for kind of the most eye-catching and easy to navigate way. So you'll see that some of them are similar, but most of my LibGuides are kind of set up and maintained in a different way. Oh, thanks, Erica. Yeah, I got a lot of marketing background, and it gets used frequently in the library world. Thank you so much.